Okay, this is the brainstorm lab for April's theme of becoming, and it is March. I have a couple of announcements, just like real church. One is I'm looking for puppet videos to put in the June packet on Play. If you like to play with puppets and you want to send one, that would be awesome. The second announcement is that June 2nd will be our brainstorm for September's theme. And Katie, I told you wrong. I told you it was July, but it is actually June. We don't know what the themes are yet, of course. March and April are our months for setting the themes next year with your help. So it'll just be on whatever that is going to be. We still have first weekend Wednesday, instead of a brainstorm lab, it's the sort of how did this year go feedback and eval session for anyone who wants to just chat with us. And the second Wednesday will be May's theme of story. Ooh, I can't wait. May 12th will be June's theme of play. And then there will be a general meeting. Let me make sure I do this right. No, then we skip June for this lab. It gets complicated. And July, we'll have a general meeting since we won't have the lab for the next month of August. It's a startup meeting. It's like, well, here's what we're thinking about. Here's what to anticipate. So I know it's confusing because it's confusing to me, but I thought I'd just mention it here. More times we talk about it, the better it might become. So becoming April's theme. April holds Easter and Earth Day, as well as a lot of other things. I hope you use our master calendar. That's an awesome little thing that we can provide for you. There are 4 angles in the theme of becoming. The first is letting go and letting in, which I'm thinking of as the Easter Sunday one, if you need something for Easter, letting go and letting in. The next one is finding your true self on the theme of becoming. Becoming a people of the earth for Earth Day. And making hopeful predictions. I'll go into that in just a bit. So let go and let in. I wanted to point out this whole ticket and balloon thing I'm trying to do. The idea is, in order to become something, you don't just grow, but you have to let go of your something in order to let in something, right? It's a nice way of looking at becoming, that it's not always we're becoming. So for the children's packet, not for the youth packet, but for the children's packet, I did this little spiel for you, and you use it any way you want. But in order to become a butterfly, the caterpillar has to let go of wanting to eat leaves or something. In order to become a butterfly, the chrysalis has to let go of its stillness within that folded place. And then you always think of other things. I think of, in order to do the triple axel, an ice skater has to let go of fear. In order to make a touchdown, the quarterback has to let go of the ball in order to let the running back make the goal. So suddenly you say, now what kinds of letting go can you think of? You know, there might be letting go of getting your tonsils out. You had to let go of your fear in order to let in the healing that could be provided for you. Then, if you're of this ilk, I have a whole little Jesus let go and let in. Because I find children old enough to understand that something's going on at Easter besides just Easter bunnies. They get real curious about what the story of Easter is for our Christian siblings. Like, what's going on here? Why are these people doing this, what does resurrection mean? What does crucifixion mean? And I want to be the place where they come to their own faith community for the answers to those questions. And I want them to feel like they're comfortable. So here's the letting go, letting in for the Jesus story. In the story of Easter in the New Testament of the Bible, so I let them know there is a New Testament, there is a Bible, there is a story behind Easter. Jesus had to let go of living a normal life as a carpenter's son in order to become a religious leader. There's a little thing. He had to let go of speaking in the countryside where he was loved and thousands of people came to hear him, and go to the seat of Jerusalem, the seat of government in Jerusalem, in order to let in his message and speak truth to power. That's why he went to Jerusalem, even though he might have gotten arrested. He needed to speak truth to power. That explains that funny little story that everyone's like, why did he even go there if he was going to get arrested? He had to let go of hoping he might avoid a trial and the sentence in order to let in the will of God. That's the Christian way of saying it. We can also say, in order to let in the will of the Spirit of life and love. His death let in the possibility that he would be remembered for his message. Jesus's followers, and I always say who are called apostles, because I had a 15-year-old go, "What's an apostle?" No, he didn't know. Jesus's followers had to let go of Jesus as a teacher among them in order to let in the determination to become teachers themselves. That's the transfer. We don't have to talk about Jesus coming in person to them. I always use Sophie Faz's explanation in her book, Jesus the Carpenter's Son. Sophie Faz says, it was as if Jesus came and talked to them after he died. Because I have had people in my congregation say to me, my wife talks to me, even though she passed away 2 years ago. I hear her voice. And so there's nothing unusual about that. We don't need to go into the supernatural explanations as you use. So there's my approach to Jesus. Katie's little approach to Jesus. Let in and let go. And of course, if you had balloons to throw, that would be even more fun. I also wanted to share with you my favorite Christian picture books. I wrote a picture book, Bible stories, based on these books. This is Brian Wildsmith. Don't you love him? He's a little old, but you can still buy him, find him on Amazon. And this is the book. If the children want to know the Easter story, this is the book that I show them, because it's gold, it's beautiful. Look how nice it is to read this. It's huge pages. There's angels, but the religious language isn't real dogmatic. So anyway, I'll share those with you. And here's a little personal commercial. All of my curriculum that I write myself, not the stuff I write for Soul Matters, is 50% off on my website now, because I'm going out of business for that. I'm working so hard in Soul Matters, it's time to put that to rest. So that's www.uure.com. It's going away. So if you want to buy that domain, you can buy that domain too, May 1st.
Katie, who was the author of the Easter book?
Brian Wildsmith. This is the guy who's done all three of these, Wildsmith. So here's one I really love about Mary, when you want to talk about the feminine path to the divine. There's Easter story. There's one on Jacob. There's one on, oh, here it is. There's one on the Exodus. It's just wonderful stuff for Bible stories for you kids. There is God language in it, but no surprise. It's a story about the Bible. The other book I recommend to do at Easter, if you like more of a multicultural, less religious tone, is the Chicken Sundae by Patricia Polacco. And it talks about herself as a little girl. She's from a Russian Jewish family, and her two friends who are African American, and I believe he's a Russian Catholic. He makes Pysansky eggs and sells them. There's this whole story, and I love Chicken Sundae for Easter. The two boys, I think it's their grandmother Beulah, wants to buy an Easter hat. So she's in that sort of AME tradition of big hats, big presents at Easter. And then finally, the Easter session. So if you're like a lot of people complaining about how we're getting Zoom fatigue, I put the wheel of kindness in, so the connection is Jesus and loving kindness. So this wheel of kindness is an online thing you can create. I created one for Soul Matters and Kindness. And it's like a roulette wheel, and it clicks and then it stops on the rubber stopper. And it looks like a lot of fun. It's just sort of a fun, jazzy thing to do. So the wheel of kindness for Easter. So that's let go and let in. The second one is finding your true self. I don't want you to get real confused because I put in as an option the song Let It Go from Frozen, because that has become an anthem for becoming your own true self, people with disabilities especially. And so there's a whole conversation, and there's the video of Elsa singing that. And then there's the Broadway version, and people are oohing and eyeing when she disappears and reappears. Anyway, I had a lot of fun with that Let It Go anthem. Then I want to also point out the meditation. I wrote it as a creative visualization. You're walking down a path, there's an older person that welcomes you in, they give you a gift in a special box, and as always happens in a creative visualization, you just guide them to say, open the box, and then they themselves will know what gift they have in there. And it's a very popular thing. I do it with kids a lot. So I wrote that for finding the gift that is your true self inside of yourself. Oh, and I want to shout out to the Brainstorm Lab folks, 3 of whom are here, because this is the Who Are You Becoming? Explore It. We talked about how amazing it is to see the kids when they come back from the summer, and some of them have grown, and we realized it would be so neat to say, now that we've been separated for a year, who have you become? How has your life changed? Do you have a new pet? Can you show it? This is a show and tell. Do you have a new haircut? Point it out that all COVID, I haven't had my hair cut, and so now I have this long braid. Maybe you have a new skill. Maybe you learned how to finger knit, and show us how you do that. All those things that have happened during COVID. And the new little trick that Soul Matters is suggesting is, if you have some exciting thing during these Explore It sections, you might want to record it yourself, because then you can show the parents later. You just want to let the kids know you're recording it, and then help them become comfortable. And if they don't get comfortable, if they're like, ooh, you're recording, then turn it off, because you don't want them to feel self-conscious. However, for some of this, they won't care. They're just going to get so involved, like, here's my finger knitting, all that kind of stuff. Okay, the next session number 3, or 3 as my European people call it, becoming a people of the earth. This is the Earth Day session. I happen to be a real space fanatic, because my dad was a rocket scientist. He helped build the Apollo and the Gemini and the Voyager modules, and his name is now going out of the solar system. They inscribed everyone who worked on their names on a little plaque, and it's out of the solar system now. So I put in Carl Sagan, the old Carl Sagan video that's a minute 3/4, minute and a half, to play if you so desire, where he shows the picture of us as a pale blue dot in the stripe of the Milky Way. It blows my mind. And I mean, it's this little tiny blue speck. And when you see that, the message, the spiritual message is, how can we fight each other when we are so alone in our solar system? And then another shout out to the Brainstorm Lab. This book, Creek Finding, is fantastic. I'm going to buy it for my grandchildren. I just want to give you a heads up. That was a real cool share. It's about an Iowa guy who buys land and it's been farmed, but he finds out that a creek used to run through it. And it's the true story of the process of restoring the creek with the community. And it's great Earth Day message, really cool. And I love the wood carving, the wood cuts in it too. And then there's the Earth Day scavenger hunt. Go find something green. Duh. Go find something recycled. Go find, how they're going to dash around the house. Go find something that is made out of recycled stuff. Have fun with that one. The last one, hopeful predictions. This is going out on the limb a little bit, but it's what I call the Magic 8-Ball session. So if you know that old toy, the Magic 8-Ball, it's a black 8, and you roll it around and you ask it a question. And the best part of it is the way it says yes or no. So the idea is we do want to predict the future, but we also know that no one knows really what's going to happen. So we have to trust. There it is. Thank you. I knew somebody would have one. Well, okay, so let's ask it a question. Does it still work, Paul? Okay, somebody come up with a good question.
Will we be going back in person sooner than later? Oh, as I see it, yes.
See?
I like that answer. We're stopping right there.
Perfect. So you see, it's fun, and you invite the children, if they have an 8-ball, to join you on screen, and then let them do certain things. But if they don't, there's a real easy workaround. So I put in the packet the 20 isosahedric things that the 8-ball has in it. And all you do is make a magic 8 bowl. Ha ha, bowl. And you ask it a question and you pull it out. And I just cut it out. I printed it out from the packet. You see, cut it out. It's real high tech. And this one says, okay, I'm going to ask, will Katie remember to turn off the record? And it says the outlook is good. So it's not a lot. It's just 20 little strips of paper. There you go. The Magic 8 bowl. I also encourage you to do this little mind game with them. Imagine themselves in 5 years, because they're so present oriented in their concrete operational thinking. That's the Piagetian intellectual cognitive formation. They're going to be like, I'm 8 and I am just here. But if you say, imagine yourself in 5 years, what's 8 plus 5? They're going to say, oh my gosh, I will be 13. And just imagine themselves as a 8th grader. Does it seem possible? And then imagine yourself in 10 years. So if they're 8, they'll be 18. Maybe a senior in high school, maybe a freshman in college, old enough to vote. Fascinating to have them think about this stuff. And of course, while they're doing it, we are doing it too. In 5 years, how old will I be? In 10 years, how old will I be? And then I think there's 2 more suggestions for ages. and you go up. So hopeful predictions. Who are we becoming as we grow? Then in the family connections part, I wanted to highlight the Easter can hunt, which is my old favorite, instead of doing an Easter egg hunt where everyone is competitive and trying to push each other. And there's one person who always comes in with 8, even though they're only supposed to collect 2 and da, 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 da. And instead, I collected cans of food for our local food distribution center. The older kids hid the cans and everybody goes out and finds them. And what happened, which was so amazing, is the kids had such a good time that they pleaded with the youth to hide the cans again, because there was no personal gain. It was just fun. Fun is all get out. So Easter can hunt. And then just here's the tip. Don't collect them all in one big can, like garbage can, because it'll be too heavy to lift with all those cans in it. So we had like 8 to 10 baskets that the kids would put them in. And then those baskets could be lifted in the back of a car and taken to the food distribution center. There's also a hats thing in there. Reverend Suzelle Lynch is our hat UU minister. If you've ever seen any of her posts with her and her hat collection, but that's another thing to do, sort of oriented towards Easter. And everyone makes, there's a couple of hat making recipes there, you know, the classic Curious George newspaper hat, that kind of stuff. So now, phew. What we can do is talk about our challenges, opportunities, and takeaways. We'll each have, let's say, 1.5 minutes and talk about challenges that you might have encountered while you're planning for April, or for heaven's sakes, any kind of challenge that's going on with you right now, because eventually we'll be able to share ideas. This time I'm going to ask if someone besides Sam, just for fun, would like to be the timekeeper, so Sam can like just relax. She's done it every single time we have ever done this. And all that means is put your timer on your smartphone, push it, and when the 1.5 minutes is up, just hold your screen up. You don't have to be the policeman. Most people see it. All right, Jenny, thank you. So challenges, then we'll do opportunities, then we'll do takeaways and solutions.
How long did you say, Katie?
Let's do 1.5 minutes.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Jenny. So on my screen, and let's do Sam first.
Wow, this is so freeing. Thanks, Jenny. The current challenge that we're starting to ponder is things are good in this moment, but what is it going to start looking like when we are in person? That's our challenge right now, is the brainstorming and trying to not get too wrapped up in the troubleshooting of it, but the brainstorming and the envisioning. And it's definitely a challenge because there are so many unknowns and we don't even know when we're going to be in person. We would love to aim for September, but the world of COVID says things change from hour to hour. So it's a challenge. And how do we, for some of the bigger changes that could possibly happen, how do we advertise it in a really positive way to get as many people on board as possible without upsetting too many people, too many families? So yeah, I think that's where my challenge is at the moment.
Thank you, Sam. I'm glad you brought that up too. It's been on my mind too. Paul is next on my screen.
Okay. This year, well, this Sunday marks the anniversary of our not going in person. And my youth program coordinator, our youth program coordinator, and myself did a conversation for Time for All Ages for this Sunday about a year in review. And we're talking about, man, it's been a year. And when when it first started, we were talking about, well, how are we going to do snack with this disease? We're going to have to do individual packets and individual drinks, and how are we going to, what's that going to cost, and how are we going to, then bam, we're not going at all. So we quickly adjusted, and we've been, now it's like our bar is so raised so high because of the Zoom and the videos and what we're doing. And we're running at half what our kids, we had 46 kids, and we're running, last Sunday we had 20 kids from, preschool to teens. But I mean, that's, in three different, programs, but still it's 20 kids. We average 46, 45 kids. So, it's just like, our bars race, how are we going to do it? What's in the future,
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we need that magic 8-ball, don't we? And Katie's next on my screen.
Well, we're not doing this as Sunday school. I'm repackaging it as things families can do together at home. But looking forward, I'm looking into what are ways that we can all be together as a community with these topics, probably outside. What does that look like to truly do a multi-age offering that is something that people can opt into as they want, and probably still keeping a lot of the at-home sort of things as we come back together. And it's one of those, giant global things that takes 14 naps to get to the point where you can consider it. And I'm at about 6 naps right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Katie. Next on my screen is Jenny. Oh, and I will do it for you, Jenny.
So my challenge, I work in 2 congregations. In one of them right now, we are starting an expansion project. We just broke ground.
Wow.
And it's on one hand, it's a good time to do it. We had hoped to break ground in November, but you know how those things go. And turnkey to the owner is supposed to be October 29th. So it's good because I'm pretty sure we're not going to be back in person in September. So that gives me at least a fairly good know that I have till November or anything. But we have to be packed up, and the deadline just moved up 2 weeks now. I have to do, and so that means I have to do it before I go camping. But I've been working in the office putting together packets and things, take home stuff, and I just realized I don't know how I'm gonna do this out of, I mean, I thought, well, I'll just keep some stuff aside, but I'm constantly rummaging through these closets. Honestly, I don't know how y'all work, but sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do till I start rummaging through the closet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm really, I feel like we're really, it's going well with the take home stuff, and people are, and now I don't know, because we're doing the whole church instead of in phases. We're doing the whole thing at once, the RE wing and the sanctuary at the same time. So that's
Wow.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, deep breath. Thanks, Jenny. And Liza.
Well, it's nice to join you all. I've been wanting to join these sessions every time I see the emails, but I think this is the first one I've made all year. I miss you, Katie, and nice to sort of meet the rest of you.
Nice too, also.
It's been a bit of survival mode here. So,
Yeah.
and I still feel that way. Like, to hear you all speaking about the fall, there's just so many questions that I've just shied away from looking there, and I'm just trying to constantly keep people connected and involved in this present moment. We're hoping to put out some spring equinox care packages, so that's coming up real soon. So that's been my focus. And it's great to be here to think of things that I could pop in. It worked so well in December when I got things in the care packages that went with some of my children's chapel sessions, the cutout menorah. Like, so many kids were right there with their menorah ready to cut it out. And so I really appreciate that. Today we started talking about our minister taking a sabbatical for July through September, which has me a little panicked.
Yeah.
She's a huge support, and we work pretty well and pretty closely together. So it feels like September is going to be the craziest month of my 6 years here. So to not have her there, thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. We have a little extra time. I'm just going to mention one thing about September as something I'm aware of is we can take a business model, we can take wisdom from a business model and do a soft start. It used to be planning, for September. I mean, August was just hellacious and everything had to be perfect in my mind and all the teachers had to be arranged and everything had to be perfect. And finally, someone told me, just do a soft start. And by the end of September, see what's happening. And it just gave me breathing room. And perhaps this is a wise way to start next September, since we have no idea what's going to go on. I mean, what the worst case is that in August, everyone's going to say, oh, we can now meet, everybody we can meet. And, there won't be teachers, there won't be, but who knows? But anyway, I'll mention this idea of a soft start because I think it really helped me get used to the idea of not having everything planned. And there's a lot of congregations that they're like, we don't start until the end of September, Katie, because people's lives are so crazy getting school started, let's just wait. And that was fine. It does make me feel like I'm sort of last place in everyone's lives. It's like first comes school, then comes Girl Scouts, then comes skiing. And then, oh yeah, then there's RE. It's like, aw, darn. Anyway, okay, just a mention, just a little editorial moment there. All right, so now we're going to talk about the opportunities. So we're doing Easter online. We're doing things that may be distant. What opportunities is COVID providing us besides wonderful Zoom meetings? And why don't we start with Liza this time? We'll go backwards.
So right out of college, I did 4 years as an outdoor educator near the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, and I loved it. And it was so fun. I mean, it was like summer camp with a science bent, and kids were just all right there. And so this fall, when Vermont's levels were super low and we could do things outdoors, I just got out those little tree slice name tags and I just did everything outdoor ed, that I could. And families loved it. So families showed up together, and we'd make huge circles 6 feet apart, in our pod groups. And we'd play camouflage, and really everyone just said, can we do this even after COVID? We want outdoor church. And it really involved just generally speaking, a lot of the boys were so much more excited to come and engage than they are when we're indoors and having to be quieter and smaller movements. So I want to hold that request of the families, even though it's a little tricky to figure out. We don't have a big church yard, so outdoor church can't really happen quite at the same time as our regular indoor worship, but there's potential there, and I want to honor that.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Jenny, I'll do it for you.
Opportunities. I just think it's been I've always wanted to encourage like a UU space in people's homes, encourage families to do that. And so I started doing that just with last month, providing things for them. And I got a lot of really good, for those who subscribe to Pick It Up, and I've gotten a lot of really good feedback. So it's fun. And I've always wanted to do this too, and as part of that project. And so that's what I'm working on right now. Is I took all like they created altars last month, and they made a chalice. I'm not calling it altar, and they made a chalice. And then I just took all but I gave them like the Chalice home stuff. And I thought, oh, there's so much to read. If anyone gave me that, I would not want to read all that if anyone gave me all that stuff. So I took all the service elements and put them on this little tag thing.
Oh, I love it.
And it like has it, and then something on the back. And so this is like the standard one. And then each month they'll get in their box like a one that matches the color to add to their little binder ring thing. And I've always wanted to do this.
Oh,
isn't it pretty?
yes. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Pretty. So I'm hoping I got good feedback last month, and I'm hoping this makes it easier for them, and you can just pick it up, and there's the chalice lighting on the back, and oh, I don't want to do the orange things today. I'll just
Oh, I love it. Would you share that on the Facebook page? Can you do that, Jenny? Because
sure, yeah.
I did with a picture, because
I love that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. I mean, it took a while to create the tables to get them to print it, and I've also given up perfection. They are not all the exact same size squares. I had to let that go, or it would never get done.
Yes.
And I learned how to laminate. So now I would laminate everything.
Awesome. Awesome, Jenny. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
Is there a way to actually share the table on the?
Yeah, I think it can go in the files. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's fantastic.
And this is you mean in the Soul Matters page, right? This is all the materials from Chalice Home.
Yep. All right, Katie.
A lot of what people have said, definitely opportunities to, set aside perfection every single day. But I think that opportunity to reinvestigate what it means to be community, and that maybe we need to figure out different ways of doing that, and of being together as one people, as opposed to 27 different groups of people with different interests who only want to do something that serves them in that moment. And maybe seeing the stuff we do together as a jumping off point to what comes next, instead of a discrete activity that you do it and you're done and you move on to the grocery shopping.
Lovely, Katie. Thank you. And Paul?
Well, we're starting to do outdoor events. We've had a process where we have to apply for the activity and submit it to our board. And the first 4 events are all RE related or youth group related. So, and they're going to include families too. We have 2 events on Earth Day. That's Saturday, the 24th. We're going to do a cleaning up the area of around our church. Our church is located on wetlands, and we have a creek behind us, and it, every time it rains, there's, it collects a whole bunch of mess. already?
Oh, I know, never mind.
That was a quick minute and a half.
That's probably Katie's
It
business.
was.
So, and then we got Clean the Bay Day that we're doing. It's another family project. So, hopefully that'll work, and we'll see the families get together and, they can be close together in a little cluster because they live together. So,
Yeah.
we have safety ambassadors that have to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to as far as social distance and wearing a mask. So we have a lot of rules that we have to follow, but it's doable, and that's hopeful. And so we're looking forward to those opportunities and see how it goes.
Great. Thank you, Paul. And Sam.
Do I get a restart or do I get the rest of Paul's time?
Yeah. Hold over like Verizon.
We are
You
using,
want this job back, Sam?
it's all yours. We're using Easter as an opportunity to really make it a full weekend. So on Saturday, we are doing a chalk art event where they can sign up and show up at a particular time, and their family or group gets a full parking space to decorate, and that way we can have people spaced out and the times spaced out, and they still get to see each other at a safe distance and have fun creating art. And the next day, we are having our Easter service, which is also our flower communion. And since we didn't get to do flower communion last year, we're like, how do we do this? Because people are missing it. So we're holding another drive-through opportunity for people to drop off a flower, pick up a flower. We have these beautiful seed paper hearts that just showed up on my doorstep yesterday. So people will get seed paper to plant. And then we're doing a collection. We live in a very agricultural community. So we're doing a collection of supplies for a group here that's Friends of Farm Workers that gets supplies and such, and my time's up. But then they also get to drive through and see all of the amazing art. So
Yeah.
it's a very busy, full, fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
I want to come to Fresno and see that. That sounds really great. Full parking lot idea. That's like full week faith. Full parking lot.
It's full parking lot, Faith.
Full parking lot. Awesome, you guys. Great ideas. I used to be an outdoor ed person, so I'm really glad to hear, Liza, that went well for you. That is fantastic. A question that Katie's comment about re-envisioning community. Here's the question that came up to me. Do you think after a few months of in-person, we will miss Zoom meetings? I go back and forth. I think, yeah, we're all tired of this and we want to see, but then there is this, isn't this nice that we can meet across the country, or aunts and uncles can participate in this service where their child's doing the Choral Ages or, whatever. So it's just interesting to think about. I also want to tell you, John Roberto's doing a lot about hybrid church right now. If you're interested in sort of other perspectives, he's a Catholic religious educator, and I've taken several workshops with him. And he's thinking a lot about how our church is going to look different no matter what when we come back together. And for instance, on his website, he's posted 15 different apps that he recommends Catholic religious educators use for doing games online, et cetera, doing activities online. fantastic guy for resources. The other reflection I wanted to share is Polacco Jones did a really interesting talk. I think it was either at GA or Loretta on community of communities. Yes, maybe Katie will tell us.
It was the last GA we were at in person, so 2019.
2019, thank you. And it's online. I listened to it because I missed that GA. About being a community of communities and how that idea, rather than our individualistic idea of UUism, is such a powerful way to open our hearts to being multicultural, beloved community. Very good stuff. And I think that there's food for thought in terms of implementation of how we're going to do this community business. Anyway, it's made me think about that. Well, we're almost to our end. We have 10 more minutes. So now let's do takeaways, solutions, anything that this little discussion has brought to mind. And Sam, you want to start?
Sure. I am very intrigued by this wheel of kindness. I think that that's fun. I'm always looking for little things to add in. I love the site random acts of kindness. So things along that line is, that's my game, y'all. And
Yep.
bringing in the magic 8-ball or magic 8 bowl. I love it. And I can totally see the kids going crazy over that as well. And Jenny, your Chalice Home book, like, I love it. It's fantastic. There's so many applications for that right on. You're brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good stuff on this hour.
Mm-hmm. Great. And Paul?
So the puppet stuff you want for June, what kind of theme do you want to go with?
Well, the theme is play.
For the
And
puppet, I mean for the puppets.
it can be anything. Any
anything.
theme. What I want to do is share how we Soul Matters people are using puppets in whatever manner. So I have no boundaries. If you do it as a for all ages, fine. If you do it as a explore it time, if you do it as, I've done puppets where I give puppets to the kids and ask them to talk about death with their puppets, that kind of thing. Can be anything.
Yeah, we did. We had them make puppets. They got in their kit. They're Soul Matter. We call it a Wonder Bag because we give them bags. It's a canvas. It was a blank canvas puppet, and they create their own puppets. And they came up with some really winners. And we recorded them singing "Row Row Your Boat." And I haven't put it together yet. I haven't edited it yet. But they all took turns doing "Row Row Your Boat." So I'm going to try and piece that together. But you know that takes a lot of work because I gotta cut out each frame from the Zoom and edit it, so it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
we were actually doing it for our intergenerational service in June, but I don't know how long.
Where did you get your blank canvas puppets?
Oh, that's Oriental Trading. They're about $1.20 each. Yeah. Yep. And it's I mean, you know, sock puppets are fun too, but it's a whole lot easier. It's already there. It's already put together, and you can draw on it with a marker. Because this is a marker.
Oh, nice. Yep.
So
cool. Well, don't feel like you have to make it fancy. Editing takes as long as doing anything. Plus, there's the idea of putting children's faces on. So yeah. Right.
But I'm going to use. I have a world puppet. That's about this big, and I'm going to use that on Earth Day, you know, just to help me do the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll vent it and yeah.
Nice. I just found a video for the Chalice Home Becoming, which is Miss Agaya sung by a woman folk singer with her children instead of the operatic Paul winter guy. Anyway, we better move on. Okay, Katie.
I would love if we could have some more discussion around the outdoor events on the Facebook page.
Put
Because
it
I
up.
think that's really critical to a lot of us. I mean, I
I
can't
have
do
a,
anything till it gets a little cooler, but it's a
I have a
start.
PDF I can send you guys on 24 social distancing activities outside that you can play.
Send it to
with
me and I'll
photos and
post it
stuff.
on the Facebook page too.
Okay.
But yes, good idea. And Jenny.
I really like the parking lot party thing. Thinking about that, we have my other congregation at Southwest, we only have like 15 parking spots, and we have no property, and everybody has to go park somewhere else and walk down the sidewalk.
Mm.
So I'm just thinking along those lines. So we can't ever meet outside because we're surrounded on 3 sides by a cemetery, like right up to the edge of the little tiny parking lot. So we can't do anything outside, but we could chalk on the sidewalk because we're right on a main street. The sidewalk's right there. I mean, we could do that, but we could also do the parking lot. I like that idea. We're small enough that with these few parking spots, we could assign them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking on that because I like all the, I want to go back and listen to all the things you said you were doing that day, because it just seemed like there's a lot of fun stuff and they're itching to get together. So,
All right.
that's all.
I forgot to turn it on, but it's probably time. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. And Liza.
Let's see. I just, something you said, Katie, about recording one part of what we do. I've been trying to figure out how to include the families that don't make it on a certain Sunday to my family chapel, or to the ones who never make it. And I so want to be in gallery view, and that's not the view to share, you know. So it inspires me to work a little bit more with that and just try to figure out a device I could set up and just have it pinned on me the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And just record that. And then maybe with just a little editing, I can make it so it's something to share out with those families.
Mm-hmm. There is a way to do that, pinned to the speaker only. Check it out. Yeah, definitely. Good idea.
Is there a way to pin to the speaker, but you as the host can still see everybody? Do you know, to record? Or would it have to be another device, I think, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can set it up on my tab.
If you're using Zoom, the recording isn't really what it isn't recording what it is you're seeing. It's in your settings when you go to the web client, when you go to zoom.us and then go and log in and find your settings. And so you can record it multiple different ways. You can record it in gallery view, you can record it with shared screen with a speaker, and you can do a whole bunch, and you can do them all. So if you know how to edit, you can actually use all the different ones. The only thing is I always suggest you test it first.
Yeah.
Like log in with all the devices you own to test and see how it looks, you know, including sharing the screen.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, here we are, our last few minutes. I want to just, let me get this done. Just thank you all for coming, and amazing how we've developed. I think about the beginning of this when we were stumbling through Zooms and trying to figure out what online church will look like. And now it's been a year, and people have learned a lot. And as Paul said, we've gotten pretty sophisticated. I mean, we're talking about the gallery view, the speaker view, all these things, which in the beginning it was so hard to learn and accommodate. So we'll move forward. Have a good rest of your month of March, and May and April will be here before we know it, won't they? Phew. And we'll have a spring. And I got my first COVID shot last Friday, and I just got tears in my eyes, because for me it means the beginning of the end of being afraid. Mostly. I mean, there's always stuff, but mostly, yeah. So blessed be you all, and take care, and see you later.
Thank you so much.